From the deep, dark reaches of Star Trek Online comes Nikodas, Tabbytha, and Grebog with another episode of Fleet Action Report.
Greetings and welcome to Fleet Action Report, the show where we don't just play the game, but we teach you how to play the game.
I'm Tabbytha, that was Nikodas, and up next, waiting 1,000 years to tell you this, is Grebog.
This is episode 203, Three Moons Circling. For those that don't know, that's a description of a proton molecule. Or I guess not really a molecule. It's an entity.
An atom.
Actually, a proton is a component of an atom.
Yeah. Well, that's why I didn't want to say an atom
Molecule.
because it's not really. Science stuff
Right.
here.
The protons, the neutrons, and the electrons. The protons are part of the nucleus.
Yeah.
So, just to throw this out there, I put the note in here. So there is an episode of TNG called Night Terrors, where a group of aliens describes a hydrogen molecule.
There's one moon circling.
Yes. So I looked it up. A proton molecule has 3. That's 3 moons circling. Sorry. It's the geek in me showing up.
Well,
all
I'm
right.
sure
I
it's a
guess-
proton molecule because a proton isn't a molecule.
I guess Nikodas has been communicated with from afar from some other ship. I guess I didn't realize you were part betazoid of any type.
Well, you know.
Are you stuck in a Tychon's rift?
I use it a lot. Doesn't that count?
I mean, if you use it a lot, it's perfectly reasonable that you could get stuck in one of your own. I mean, Grebog's constantly blasting himself in the face with his own torpedoes.
That is true.
I guess, Nikodas, what have you been up to besides getting stuck in Tychon's rift?
And coughing my lungs up. Sorry. Still sick. Still fighting illnesses and chronic things and have to deal with that. I finished my build, put this together for the show tonight. I don't have precisely everything, as we'll go over a little bit. Like some of my reps are still, well, most of them are still at tier 5 or yeah. So that's a thing I'm still working on. The traits, I did get all the traits that I wanted, although it took some doing. Let's see if I go to the right page here. But anyway, the R&D schools. There you go. That's what I'm working on. As you can see, most of them are still below 15, but I got the ones up that I really needed for the build. So that's been a good portion of my week this week. The only other thing is when I didn't feel like sitting at my desk, I played a little bit of Destiny 2. The new expansion is fun, but I'm only 3 missions in, so there's still a lot. Although I will say, spoiler alert, but it's not an STO spoiler. So having Nathan Fillion back in the role of Cade 6 is fabulous. That dude. I have concerns that they're gonna do away with him again at the end of the season, just because I know how expensive. I mean, that's the reason they got rid of Nathan Fillion to start with, is because he's such an expensive actor. They didn't feel that they could justify the expense, so they deleted the character.
I too like to get rid of people in my life who are expensive.
Are you getting rid of your? Oh, no, never mind. That would be mean too.
I mean,
but the only other game I played was Assassin's Creed Odyssey. I was trying to run through the storyline on that, which I finished today. Before I start Mirage, which is out, and then I'm trying to get everything put together for the Japanese Assassin's Creed coming out. So Shadows is what it's called. But yeah, that's been my weeks. Let's hand the reins over to Tabby.
Well, I have been playing more and more Mists Remix, of course. Finally got my Evoker to level 70. So I've got almost all of the male transmogs that I can get. out of the out of the raid finder queues, and well, all of out of all of the dungeon raid finder dungeon queues. So I'm about to move on to another armor type. I picked up Palea for the first time in a long time because they made some pretty cool adjustments to it and some additions to it. Palea is like a adorable little farm sim MMO type thing. It's free to play, utterly adorable, and fun to play if you just kind of want to relax and plant some crops and go out and just tool around and build some things. And of course, I've been doing STO things as well. And you'll find a little bit more about what I just recently did in STO here in a little bit.
That means it's Grebog's turn.
Alrighty, so my week. What have I been doing? I'm sitting here. I never noticed that you could see Mars when above Earth.
Wait, what?
I'm looking at a spot, a big speck. Here I'll go big screen on mine, so maybe you can see it. It is directly above the nebula thing. There is a speck that is way bigger than the rest of the stars, and it doesn't emit light like a star.
Huh.
Anyway.
Let's hear it for the detail of the devs.
But outside of that, I've been playing some Remix. I have my Shadow Priest has, I think, all of the dungeon sets for cloth. So I do have some raid stuff I want to get collected and whatnot. But yeah, having fun there, just chilling. Though in retail we are trying to get through all of the raids, like at least get all the kills, so that way we can get the heroic achievement, which is a title. A lot of work for a title. And Blizzard did the classic. Oh wait, we knew all along that we weren't going to make the 3 awakened raids be all awakened simultaneously this week. We just didn't tell you that. So they were everyone, all the players seemed to believe that like this last Tuesday, the 3 raids were going to be awakened all at the same time.
Yeah, we thought that too.
And Blizzard came out and said, "Oh, we checked our schedule. Yeah, that's not happening. It's not going to happen until we put the pre-patch in for the next expansion." So I'm just like going, so you knew, but you told us the wrong thing? What? Have you been working with Cryptic? Anyway, but yeah, so been doing enough of that. I've been playing STO, doing the dailies. I'm not a big fan of the event this time.
I know, because like you've got 2 absurdly long missions.
Yeah.
You've got the Borg Battle Royale, which is like I've played it like maybe twice since it came out. It's not very exciting. And then you have Guillotine, which is okay.
That one's hit and miss on whether or not you have a team that understands what's going on.
Yeah, if you have a team that knows what's going on, it goes great. But if you don't, it's not.
Abby, come outside.
But yeah, so I've been doing my dailies and kind of not focusing on the event stuff. I'm gonna get my dailies done on both accounts and get the rewards, because you can't miss it. But we'll go into what all that is later. But I keep thinking I wanted to mention something, and now I've forgot it. So I guess it's not that important.
That's what we call a brain fart.
Well, no, it's just the way my brain is. I have many
Well-
thoughts, and it races to something new every time.
Well, why don't you go ahead and start us off with the news since you're racing anyway?
Alrighty, so if you didn't know, Alienware has a promo bundle. You can go to this website I just put into chat. I'll also have it in our show notes. But you can go to that website and you get 12 free bank slots and an assimilated plasma weapon. Now, you do have to claim it through ARC. There is no other way to claim it. Yeah. It's fine. Which means if you are an Epic player, unless you somehow magically have one of those special linked Epic accounts to ARC, you can't claim it. If you're a Steam player, unless you have also one of those special Steam accounts that is linked to ARC, you won't be able to claim it. It's ARC accounts. Yeah.
Now, if this is something that you really, really want, there is a rumor flying around that if you call the help desk now, like since DECA has taken over, that it is possible for them to go ahead and link your accounts. So I don't know if it's true. I have not tested that personally. My accounts have been linked for years. But that's what somebody posted on one of the forums I follow. Take that as you will.
So it might be worth the try. If you can get your accounts linked to ARC, then you get the benefit of getting Epic rewards or Steam, if depending upon which way you're at, and the ARC rewards from like Alienware and all the other places that sometimes do it. Yeah.
Steel Series, GG, and
Steel, all those. So I would try.
If we can get my build done early enough, quick enough today, we will show you this next part. But the new event is live. This is the Delete Alt Control event. It runs now until June 26th. You have to get 20 completions, so you're down. You're just at 20 days. So if you start today, you can get it done. But even if not, you can get a discount and buy it out later. It buys out with Zen. Take that as you will. The rewards include a Hypermass Torpedo, Dimensional Hypermass Torpedo, which is, I guess, like a beefed up quantum torpedo.
No, it's dimensional. It travels through dimensions to get to I don't know.
Yeah, something like that. You also get a Type 14 shuttle support squadron. This is a thing that activates from your inventory. You do not have to equip it. You get 500 Lobi and an epic prize token. Again, this epic prize token is claimable on every character for your account. And then you get the first person that claims the reward also gets 30,000 dilithium. And here's Tabby to tell us about her purchase that she just made.
So right now, from now until June 10th, so here for about 4 days, they're doing 35% off of all legendary bundles, including the 10th anniversary 10-ship bundle that is returning for this sale. And because if anybody knows me and knows how much I like doing Space Barbie and art with said Space Barbie, and especially with the hero ships from the different series, this was just too good of a deal for me to pass up, and I went ahead and grabbed it. And so on sale, it was $195, or like, on sale. It was 19,000. Yeah, 19,500 Zen, which runs at $195. So I'm gonna have buyer's remorse here for probably a few days, maybe longer. or until I start really churning out some really sweet. But yeah, let's take a look at the ships that are in it, because you get the Legendary Command Dreadnought Carrier, which gives you all of the skins of the Odyssey. You get the Legendary Command Exploration Cruiser, which gives you all of the Galaxy class and all of its skins. The Legendary Miracle Worker Light Cruiser, which gives you all of the skins of the Constitution, including the newly remastered Exeter. You get the Legendary Miracle Worker Assault Cruiser, which gives you all the skins of the Sovereign. Legendary Temporal Flight Deck Carrier, which gives you the skins of the new 1701 from Strange New Worlds. The Legendary Kelvin Timeline Intel Battle Cruiser, which is our 2009 Kelvinverse. Now, I was looking at this. This kind of looks like that the smaller nacelles from the Lockbox one that they just released. Doesn't it?
So this is the Connie 2. This is the one that just came out. And then this is the retrofit that is the special skin for the Legendary. So they're similar, but not quite the same.
Similar, but not quite. Okay. But we get 3 different Kelvin timelines with the Legendary. The Legendary Temporal Operative Escort, which is our NX. And you get the NX refit, which has the secondary hull. The Defiant.
Special skin is the nose art, which is funny.
Yes, I love it. But got all of them.
Going back,
now, I'm a little the Legendary Temporal Operative Science Vessel. You get the Glen, which is the modern Crossfield. The Crossfield, the Mirror Crossfield, Mirror Glen. I'm disappointed that we don't get this 32nd century. But that means that's one less ship that I have to get from the end of year lockbox. So that means that from the lockbox, I only have to get the Prodigy, and at some point, I'll have to get the 32nd century Crossfield, and of course the Voyager, and all of the different warship Voyager variants. So I've got a lot of space Barbieing that I can and space Barbie art that I can do now.
Either of you remember which was the latest lockbox, the Constitution?
It's I had it pulled up. It's the are you talking about the Kelvin or the regular one?
The Kelvin. Wasn't the new Kelvin the Constitution too?
Hang on. I just had it pulled up. Yeah, it's the Connie 2.
Because you get that skin with the legendary version, it says.
I don't know. That might be one that you have to have from the lockbox, but it's better. It's a better skin than I thought it was.
On the drop down, it says included.
Oh, it does, doesn't it? Wow.
Yep.
Yeah, that's the brand new skin that just came out in the lockbox. So maybe they added it. That's pretty cool.
Yeah. So I just got one of the lockbox skins for the Kelvin.
I like it better than this one. I am not a fan of the Connie refit.
But all right, so
I like that a lot better.
Also, something they announced today. The lifetime subscription sale. You have until June 8th, 10 a.m. Pacific time to get 50% off your lifetime sub on any platform, not just PC. And then from June 8th, that 10 p.m. or 10 a.m. Pacific time, all the way to June 11th, you will have $100 off for PC, or for consoles, it's 33% off. Which is still like $99 off or something like that. So It's essentially you both are getting the price down to buy it now for 150 ish. I, I'm rounding a little bit here probably, but and then or if you miss this time frame, it'll be $200 for the lifetime sub. In my opinion, either way, it's worth it. Because you get a lot of stuff with it, and then the 500 Zen monthly stipend adds up.
Tabby apparently is too
Indeed
good
it
to come
does.
outside and play with us. Okay. Sorry, throwing Tabby under the bus a little bit there.
Wait, what?
I said apparently you're too good to come outside and fly around and play with us. You're too stuck on DS9. All right, so the primary target for today is my Lola, or Lola, as the Klingons would say. This is the Lola Intel Science Destroyer budget Proton build. So this is going to be interesting. I searched the internet. I looked up stuff. Nobody has really done a Proton build, and there's probably good reason for that. There's just not a whole lot of support for it. We've gotten some things more recently, but it's still lacking, to be frank. But let's get into
Frank,
this.
be Nikodas.
Okay, I'll be Nikodas. The first weapon I've got is the Dyson Proton weapon. This comes from the Dyson reputation. This I've got it epicked out, as you can see. On the plus side, it activates on any normal firing mode, so fire at will, rapid fire, beam overload, or scatter volley. All four of those will work if you have the 3-peat set bonus, which I do. We'll get to that here in a minute. And proton damage does not have a whole lot of resistance to it. So you're going to deal a lot of damage. But again, there's not a whole lot of support. So take that as you will. For my next two weapons, I've got the Protonic Polaron. Now, the reason I'm using these is for the proc, which deals proton damage. In the third spot here, we have the Pavan Proton Energy Torpedo. This is a torpedo that deals proton damage. This came from a recent set. Currently, it is not available. If you didn't get it through the set, you won't have it until they throw it probably in Mud's Market here in a couple months or whatever. For the equipment, I just basically went with the meta. I've got the Elite Fleet Intervention Protomatter Deflector Array from the Fleet Colony. I'm going to skip the secondary deflector for a moment. I've got the Prevailing Innervated Impulse Engines from the competitive rep. And then I've got the Mycelial Harmonic Matter Antimatter Core and the Tilly's Review Pending Modified Shield, both from the Disco rep. Bouncing back up to the secondary deflector. I'm using the Solanae secondary deflector. This comes off of the Tier 5 version of the Dyson Destroyers. I am using it for the 2-piece set with one of the consoles because it adds proton damage. That's the only reason I have it sitting here. In our aft weapons, I've got the omnidirectional Pavan Proton Beam Array. This again is from the Pavan event that happened recently. If you didn't complete the event, you don't currently have access to it. In the second spot, I've got a Protonic Polaron turret. Again, it's here for the proc to deal proton damage. And then in the third spot, I went ahead and threw out the gravimetric photon torpedo launcher for the set bonus because it deals with protonic energy. And we'll get into the set bonuses here in a minute. This comes from the Dyson reputation. The experimental weapon comes on this ship. It is the experimental dual heavy proton emitter that deals proton damage. Devices don't really matter. You can throw up here whatever you want. I am missing the two big ones on this character. That'll probably happen later. And then I kind of spent some money on this. So for the engineering consoles and the universal consoles, I went ahead and went with isomags. The beam version of the isomags are not overly expensive on the exchange, and since proton is not a damage type that you can get, I went with beams. So that's going to increase just the general damage of all my beams. That's what I went with. Maybe at some point in time they'll add Proton, and I'll have to re-engineer all of these to deal Proton damage. We'll see. For my science consoles, and all those are crafted. All the isomags are crafted. For my science consoles, we've got the Pavan Crystal Battery. This comes from the event that I've been talking about, the Pavan event. This is the 3-piece set bonus. Then I've got the Proton Eruptor module. This comes from the Lola. Next up is the networked protonic shield matrix off of the Kardashev, and the reverberant shield inversion projector from the Rallus. Those are the current Dyson destroyers, the tier 6 Dyson destroyers. Down below that, for my tactical consoles, I've got 2 auto-targeting modules set for beams. Here again, these are going to increase beam damage. These also have a secondary effect of increasing your proton damage, which is what I was really looking for. I had more of these to start with, but I traded them out for these last 2 consoles because I wanted the set bonuses. That's something you could debate if you're going to try and copy the build or improve the build. So I've got the Proton Destabilizer module. This comes off of the Tier 5 version of this ship, and it interacts with the Solanae deflector sitting up there. And then the last one I have is the Proton Particle Stabilizer. This came off of out of the Dyson rep, and it's the 3-piece with the gravimetric torpedo and the Dyson proton weapon. For those set bonuses, and the reason I went with them, the Dyson set from the rep is called Protonic Arsenal. It adds 28.5% photon projectile damage. It adds 3% crit hit, and then it enables the fire at will with the Dyson proton weapon. And the 3-piece gives you a 10% crit hit with the photon projectiles, 10% crit damage across the board, and then it enables rapid fire with the Dyson proton weapon. So basically I'm using that for the crit hit and crit damage and the fire at will, as we'll get into here shortly. The Pavan Proton super weapon from the event, the 2-piece, gives proton damage dot to the primary target, which then spreads to others over time. The more you eat, the more you explode. Oh, gotcha. Ha ha ha. Good one, Gree. You lost my train of thought, though. 3-piece set. It basically reduces the recharge for the proton dot from the 2-piece. The Solanae Advanced Technologies, this is the 2-piece with the deflector, adds 19% proton damage and 28.5 shield capacity. As always, the 2-piece from the Tilly Stamets set is 120% hull regen for that added survivability. And then the last set I have is the Dyson Dynamics. Again, this comes from the old, the console sets. And the set 2 adds 23.7% proton damage, minus 50% threat, and the 3-piece increases your current and maximum aux power. I am a little confused by the aux power because I don't know that proton damage is considered exotic or not. So I don't actually know if that's increasing like the damage from the Dyson proton weapon.
On the wiki page, under proton damage, it does tell you what is increased by aux and what is not. What is considered exotic, what proton sources are considered exotic, and what are not.
I imagine the procs are probably considered exotic, but the weapons themselves probably are not. That, in general, seems to be the way STO works. But I haven't done the math to see. Now, it is worth noting, before I get into some other abilities and stuff, this ship is an intel ship, and as such, you can use surgical strikes on it, which is one of my favorite builds. You've probably heard me talk about that a time or 20.
However, comma.
However, we did some research on it, and surgical strikes does not function with the Dyson proton energy weapon. So I had to switch this out for a fire at will build, which does work with it. Take that as you will. Again, that may be something that changes down the road if we ever get more proton energy damage. I don't know. We will see how that goes. All right, so real quick, power levels. I went ahead and put 100 in weapons, 15 in shields and engines, and 70 in aux. That is just for those procs that I was talking about. Yeah, Grebog's given a little bit more detail. So activating surgical strikes, the way it is supposed to work is it increases your damage. I think it's 230 at surgical strikes 1, 300 at surgical strikes 3. I don't know why you'd ever use surgical strikes 2 because it's the same level as 3. So again, take that as you will. And then it slows the firing rate to kind of compensate for the increased damage. It did slow my firing rate. It did slow down the firing of the Dyson proton weapon, but it did not increase the damage. So it might be a bug. It might be something they fix, or it might be working as intended. Who knows? All right. So for my abilities here, for my universal tack, and I'm floating away in space because I keep trying to scroll on stuff. Let's fix this. Okay. So I've got Felix here, who is one of the Watchers. He's got emergency power to engines 1, overwhelm emitters for extra damage, and emergency power to weapons 3. For my Ensign Universal, I've got a tactical officer in here with chemocyte laced energy 1. For my primary tactical captain, and I am using the tactical mode on this build, but for my primary tactical captain, I've got tactical team 1, torpedo spread 2, fire at will 3, and focused assault 3, which I'm discovering that I kind of like. Giovanni here in my lieutenant engineering has engineering team 1 and reverse shield polarity just for added survivability. And then my doctor down here has hazard emitters 1, override subsystem safeties, again for more damage output, photonic officer for cooldown. And the fourth spot, because I am not using the science mode in this build, what you put here does not matter. I originally was going to throw Gravity Well 3 in there, but I decided not to spend the money on it. So it's sitting with Fire Matrix 3, but in tactical mode, that's deactivated anyway, so it doesn't matter. For traits, I bounce over to my traits. Start with the Starship traits. This took some doing. I've got Calm Before the Storm, which comes off the Cardassian Intel Flight Deck Carrier. All of this is about damage, but it had to be, well, traits don't really, depict damage type anyway. So it's all damage. So there you go. But Calm Before the Storm, which adds stacks that increase your haste and damage. Emergency Weapon Cycle, which comes off of the Arbiter Battle Cruiser. This just increases your fire cycling haste. I've got Entwined Tactical Matrices for basically more uptime on fire at will. History Will Remember. I'm sorry, I'm skipping things again. Entwined Tactical Matrices comes off the Gagarin. History Will Remember comes off the Narendra class support cruiser. Basically, it's another one that gives stacks that increase your damage. Improved Critical Systems comes from the Temporal Agent Recruit. You start with critical systems and then get improved. Strike from Shadows comes off of the Shran Pilot Light Escort. And this one, anytime you hit an enemy that doesn't target you, that doesn't have you targeted, increases your damage and your crit. And then Supercharged Weapons, which comes off of the Tactical Star Cruiser, Battle Cruiser, or Warbird, depending on which faction you want. And here again, this one is every time you fire a torpedo, you get a stack that increases your damage, crit chance, and crit severity. All of those are very good traits. All of these come off of ships that you can buy in the Zen store. Some of them have legendary versions, so keep an eye out for that. But overall, they should be pretty easy to get. Although it does still cost money. Or events. Personal traits. Okay, well, before we do personal traits, space reputation. As always, the active space reputation is whatever you want. None of these are absolutely necessary. None of them are killer. I pick my 4 favorite and I go with that. Rarely do I bother getting the 5th one here because they're so lackluster anyway. Now the passive reputations, these are worth getting. And I've got, it's all crit based, or straight damage. I've got the advanced targeting systems for crit severity, enhanced rending shots for crit chance, magnified firepower for a straight boost to damage, again crit chance, and then Tyler's duality for crit chance based on your hull capacity. So it's all crit chance and hit, except for that firepower, which is just a straight damage boost. And then the personal traits. So a lot of these, let me get to the right ones down here. A lot of these are innate. I just use the ones that are free to grab. The only exception to that is Boimler. And as we have talked about before, I throw Boimler on pretty much every build these days. This is a Lobi store purchase for 200, or he's about 80 million on the exchange. It is the one thing on this build that is outside of our rules for budget building. But I mean, Boimler is the recharge recovery on that is insane. So if you can manage it, throw Boimler on there.
Well,
Outside of
at some
Boimler,
point,
I have. Go ahead, Tabby.
I think like after this event, we're gonna put Boimler on within our budget list because like they're giving out Lobi for event rewards.
That is true.
So, like, you can earn Lobi by doing free to play activities, which means you can easily buy Boimlers by doing free to play activities. So it'll put Lobi traits and Lobi consoles on our budget items list.
Probably no more than 2 per build, but yeah, I can see that argument for that.
You get Lobi, and you get Lobi, and you get Lobi.
and Phoenix prize packs, apparently. All right, so run through this real quick, and then we'll go blow something up. I've got Accurate, which is innate. Beam Barrage, which comes from the R&D Beam School, level 15. Superior Beam Training, which actually, I don't think I have the superior version yet. I need to go buy that. So it's Beam Training, which is innate, and then the superior version comes from K7. Conservation of Energy, which is innate. This one was kind of fun. It's 10% bonus damage to exotic damage when you are struck by energy damage, and it stacks up to 3 times. Since this build does have some exotic damage in it, a lot of the proton damage, especially from the procs, this will probably affect. So, as enemies are shooting at you, you are hurting them more. So I thought that was appropriate. Fleet Coordinator is innate, Innocuous innate, Operative innate, Photonic Capacitor is innate as a science officer, and it basically just reduces your cooldown on the photonic fleet, which is kind of fun. Projectile Training is just like the beam training above. It also has a superior version you can get from K7. Shield Technician, which increases your shield hit points, is innate. And I just threw that in there because I didn't have anything else to throw in there. And then the Boimler effect, which we already talked about. So that is the build in a nutshell. As always, when we post the show to YouTube later, the notes will be posted alongside it. So you don't have to rewatch the episode. You can just go down and click the link that will send you to the document we use, and you can get all the information from there. But yeah, that's my build in a nutshell. It was supposed to be surgical strikes, but it didn't work. So fire at will it is. Any questions from you two? From my friends?
Where's Garfield?
Where's Waldo?
You have Felix the cat, but no Garfield?
Oh, the names. Okay, now I get what you're referencing. My stations.
Your watcher captain, the one that can turn into a cat, is named Felix.
Yeah. All those names are random. All four of these
What
guys
about
are
normal?
watchers. Felix, Salem, Hermes, and Giovanni are all the names that they came with. So
One of mine ended up with the name of one of the cartoon cats, and I'm like, all right, this captain, all of the all their watchers are gonna get cartoon cat names.
that is hilarious. That is actually a really brilliant idea. So Giovanni's going to become Garfield. Salem will remain Salem because there is a Salem cat. He wasn't exactly a cartoon, but I'm going to count it. And then Hermes. I don't know.
Spot. Here you go.
Normal?
I could do Spot. Heathcliff. He'll be Heathcliff. Salem I loved from the old Sabrina the Teenage Witch. Salem was great. His sarcasm.
Now, I don't know if you saw my note in chat, but like the name Lola rang a bell. And
Yes.
so from Farscape, Lola was the name given to a ship the crew of Moya found drifting in space outside of a commerce station. It turned out to be an ancient Luxon warship.
Oh, no, that's
And Cadargo adopted it as his own and named it after his late wife, Lola.
That's interesting. So I it's Klingon, right? And the H is capitalized, so it would be like Lola, because the Klingon thing. But that just cracks me up. I've been walking around the house for like the last week saying that to my wife and my kids. Lola. All right, let's go blow something up. You guys want to do the daily?
Yes.
Sure.
It's better with friends, right?
Yes.
Better with friends.
We'll go ahead and do guillotine.
Wee
woo. Wee woo.
Wee woo.
I heard 3.
I must have missed the apostrophe and capitalization of any other letters. Wee ooh.
You were delayed.
Wee woo.
Wee woo.
Wee woo.
The Klingons. Gotta love them.
All right, this is also a good learning experience for those that do not know this one. First round, we blow up the stuff in the middle. Once the cube is gone and most of the assimilators, we'll get numbers around the outside. So you go around the outside, around the outside.
Oh, wait.
Around the outside, real Slim Shady will stand up and then, oh wait, no.
Round the outside, round the outside, round the outside. Wait, no, nope.
I don't hate this TFO. If you get a bad group, it can take a while to complete, but I don't hate it.
Yeah, I don't mind it. It's when I get the bad group, I really don't like it. And it all comes down to that second phase where we have the numbers around the outside that we have to go to the number point, activate a tether, and then defend said tether. Some people don't understand that and just go around blowing up all the ships that keep spawning in the middle, which can sometimes sort of help those that are activating tethers. However, it doesn't help more tethers getting taken care of.
I mean, if you have an absurd amount of DPS in the center, like you can destroy all of the ships before they get to the tethers. Theoretically. But
theoretically. I would say would need a plan for that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That cube, boy. Went fast.
Watch out for the spheres. Remember, they self-detonate sometimes.
Well, I'm helping them with more torpedoes. More explosives. I'm giving them more explosives.
I am happy to help the spheres detonate. It's a service that I provide.
Borg spheres can intentionally overload their workforce in battle. Be wary.
Spheres, you do not have to detonate yourselves. I'm more than happy to do this for you.
Hey, Born Gear.
Borngir!
What are you doing up so late?
How are you doing?
Hello, old friend. I'm glad you joined us. You haven't been on here for ages.
Oh, we're waiting on another dimensional conveyor to spawn.
Yeah, we got all but one, and it spawned right under me. All right, I'm going to 1.
I'm at 3.
I'm going to 1.
You got 1? I'll turn off then. I'll go to 6.
Projecting shield now.
I'm at 3.
Stitching anchor deployed. Projecting
Come on,
shield
go
now.
faster.
Stitching anchor deployed.
Oh, there's a
Projecting
sphere
shield
over
now.
here. That could be bad. Never mind. He didn't like the proton.
It's okay,
torpedoes I
Borngir.
shot
Sometimes
at him.
we misread the Twitch schedule and start late.
Stitching anchor
That
deployed.
is very true.
Projecting shield now.
We actually started late today, as a matter of fact.
Not.
That was for an entirely different reason, though.
That was my fault.
That was your fault.
Technically, the starting soon screen was up before start time.
That's
You
true.
had to get me started.
I did.
Up in
I
here,
was curious.
get the party started. My brain's going through songs apparently tonight.
And the tabs keeps running.
Oh, come on, get away from there.
Right, after this one is done, I will be heading to 6.
Borg assimilator is attempting to escape.
I am going first for an assimilator, and then I'm going to 4.
Stitching anchor 2 is shielded.
I got an assimilator over here too. I'm trying to get.
Fully energized.
Oh, someone went around the outside and cleared all the enemies, but they didn't put up tethers.
Okay, I'm going to 5.
The shield of stitching anchor 6 is fully energized. Stitching anchor deployed. Projecting shield now.
Okay,
Confirmation.
they're all activated now.
All right, 6 is ready.
Stitching anchor deployed.
I'm going to head to 5.
There's an assimilator over here,
I
over
got
by
him.
5.
There's another one too. I'm trying to get away.
Well done.
Well, if it gets close enough to me, it's not gonna go far. Like, spheres aren't even getting to do their charge thing. Like,
There we
they're
go.
just blowing up in over here.
Well, I'm helping with that. I'm shooting them in the back.
The destruction of a
How very noble of you.
is confirmed.
How
Well,
very
I'm not
Klingon of
actually
you.
playing a Klingon, so I'm just flying one of their ships.
I'm a Romulan. I mean, that's the type of nonsense you'd expect from me.
Yeah, kinda.
I guess. Well, technically, I'm a Jim Hadar, so I'll do what it takes to win.
Also true.
Victory is life.
Oh, he's chasing me. And now he's dead.
Borngeir would like to know how you're finding the back of a sphere.
Floor is now fully shielded.
Well, you see, you I don't know.
You
Something
see, they
about
have an
the direction
exhaust
they're-
port right on their aft end.
Stitching anchor 5.
Right under the main port. Yeah.
Well, usually when they're chasing you, it's the opposite side.
Observe.
I'm gonna try and get. We've got one or two assimilators trying to get away, so I'm gonna try and take them out real quick.
So that's actually the trick to finding the back of a sphere, is you piss it off so that it chases you, and then the opposite side is the back. Oh no. No, 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 no.
Oh, that's gonna hurt. Get out of there. Oh, and he's trying to get away.
One cube down.
But there's still an assimilator up.
It can't escape if we win. Victory is life.
There we go. Kaboom.
With the elimination of the tactical cubes, the stitching network is now operational.
Is that not the right strategy?
And they are all gone. No, it works fine.
Escape is futile.
Efforts were most satisfactory.
Look at all that mess now. Who's going to clean that up?
Has been thwarted.
We'll get the space janitors out here momentarily.
Space janitors. It's the Starfleet Janitor Corps.
Starfleet Damage Incorporated.
Yeah, that's what berths are for.
That's the real job of the Cerritos. Sorry.
Oh, yes. The California classes.
Or as Borngear says, next time Q pisses off the Continuum, he'll get community service. We can just imagine him walking through space with a giant stick, piercing debris, putting in it to a sack.
That would be freaking hilarious.
Oh, no. When you see our STO characters spawn in space without their ships, that's what's going on. We've been assigned to janitorial duty.
That is funny. Are you more purple than usual, Tabby?
It's the lighting.
Okay. I do like this ship, especially with the fire at will put on it. I've had a lot of fun so far with it. I'm using some abilities I don't normally use, like focused assault, override subsystem safeties, and overwhelm emitters, just for added DPS. And it seems to be working. I tend to lean my builds a little bit heavier on survivability than what others do, so that's why I've got like RSP over here, engineering team and tactical team. But the extra slots, the specialty slots, kind of gave me the ability to use some unusual abilities. And what else am I going to put up here in the third spot? I had attack pattern Omega, but again, that's a defensive thing, so I traded that out for focused assault, and again, it works pretty good. The only other thing I had when it was a surgical strikes build, I did have distributed targeting placed instead of the torpedoes, but obviously that got switched around when I switched to fire at will. So that's the build in a nutshell. I hope you enjoyed the show. I hope you enjoyed us blowing some stuff up.
Any questions from the audience?
Concerns?
Like why did you? I don't know.
Yeah, I would field that. By the way, since we're sitting here, hey Tabby, look down. You see the Manhattan down there?
Yes.
Does that not look like the Andromeda?
It kind of does, actually.
What ship is Tabby flying? It is the one, the third ship in the Dyson T6 bundle, for the Romulan faction.
It's the Rallus Temporal Dyson Science Destroyer. It's the as Grebog said, it's the new T6 Romulan Dyson Science Destroyer.
So,
and I will be covering my build on it next week.
Yes. We did a thing, all three of us. We decided we liked the Dyson ships, so we splurged a little bit when they came out, which at this point I think was almost 2 months ago. And we decided that each of us would take one and do our own version of a build on it because they're all slightly different. So yeah, it was fun. I have not copied Gree's build on his yet on the Kardashev, but I kind of want to. He did a Torp build on his, and then I went with obviously beams since it didn't work out with surgical strikes. And then I'm not sure what Tabby's got cooking over there.
I'm doing a wtih.
Okay. Okay, mention what you're going to mention. We're closing anyway.
So yeah, I finally remembered what I've been doing this week. I've been watching 2 space companies hit new milestones on new projects or on projects that they're working on. Boeing with the Starliner docked with the ISS today. So that is the first crewed flight with the Starliner, like to the station and back. I think they've done crewed flights that just went up and back down, but outside of that, they didn't do any docking. And then
Crewed flight, huh? Maybe next time they'll do more elegant ones.
Maybe. I mean, you gotta learn how to crawl before you can walk, and then all that. And then SpaceX had a big milestone with the Starship. Not to be confused with Starliner, because everyone's got to name everything Star something. Which is where they're basically launching a skyscraper into orbit and back. And yeah, it made it into orbit just fine and returned. I think they took some damage on the reentry, but they're still testing some of that stuff out. And it looked like it even had a soft splashdown. They didn't want to catch it yet, but they do plan on landing their Starship and its booster even. And so they might be going, the next stage might be that they're going for landing both big sections. But yeah, I don't know.
That's interesting.
Space. It caught my attention. I'm kind of glad that they were not having any issues with the Starliner, because when crewed flights and testing, those people are some brave folks that hop into, testing a new spacecraft or capsule of, any type. I commend them for that. Yeah. How would you like to be in the prototype? The first time to dock this to another in-flight vehicle.
Yeah, that'd be a little.
They're only going about 27,000 miles or like something like that. I don't know. I can't remember if it's 27,000 kilometers an hour or if it was miles. I know either way, they're moving really fast around the planet, and they're up there, not down on the ground.
Kind of cool. I might have to look that up. All right, guys. Well, Monday night we'll be doing Fun Night. Tune in at 10 p.m. Eastern to see us. I don't know what we're doing, blowing stuff up, but probably getting marks somewhere, or maybe running some old missions. If you want to join us, you are more than welcome. If you need help with missions or leveling or whatever, we will table our plans and assist you instead. We are happy to do so. And then Thursday at 10 p.m. Eastern, see Tabby build the Rallus for us.
Yes.
And as always, I will see you out there.
Have fun, be safe, and don't set yourselves on fire.
Hang around. We will raid somebody. Hopefully there are others playing STO tonight. But we'll raid somebody. But live long and prosper, everybody. Computer, end program.